Hello, welcome to another episode of 10 for the Chairman. So for those of you who haven't watched this before, this is where I take 10 questions from our subscribers. Our subscribers are the subset of our community that contribute money every month to enable us to do all our enhanced community content. So this show, Around the Verse, all the other ones we do like Bug Smashers, Jump Point, which is this 40 to 70 page behind the scenes magazine that we publish, digitally publish monthly, that goes on into the details of how we design the ships, game design, plus lore, and we have fiction in it. So it's really quite a cool read. It has lots of sort of details behind the scenes, and that's all made possible by the subscribers that are contributing the money that really sort of keeps our community team and the enhanced community stuff going, which I think makes a big difference to Star Citizen. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we're able to update you guys and connect all the time, and I think it makes for a really great development environment. So thank you very much to subscribers for that, and as part of that deal, I try to answer 10 questions from them every week when I'm able to shoot this show, which isn't always the case because this year I mentioned on a couple of previous shows that I'm going to be back and forth between here and Europe quite a lot. Obviously we have teams all around the world. In fact, we have more people now in Europe than we do in the US. And we've got a lot going on. Squadron 42, obviously, and then of course what we're doing with SC Alpha Live, which we just went to the 2.2 version, and now everyone's sort of coming down off that. There'll be a few little kind of cleanup and fixes on that, but everyone's focusing on 2.3, which is our sort of next major patch that is also bringing some pretty cool new functionality. So never stops in the world of Star Citizen. Anyway, so let's get to the 10 questions. First one comes from Star Ripper, who asks, are there any plans to streamline the patch sizes? I'm on the road a lot and use my cellular data to update Star Citizen. The updates eat a lot of gigs right now, especially when there are multiple patches. So yes, absolutely, we have a plan. In fact, I sat down earlier this week, which will be the previous week to you seeing this, since we're recording this on Friday and you're gonna watch this on Monday. I think we have a really cool plan that's very configured to our sort of new development paradigm. Not saying new for us, but sort of the new paradigm of what we're doing, which is constantly, building, testing, deploying, both internally and then externally to, you guys in the community at the first level on sort of the, public test universe, the PTU, and then of course to live. And so we need a solution that we can be building rapidly and iterating rapidly and getting it to you as efficiently as possible. And our current one's not the best because it sort of have these big monolithic pack files, and each pack file is 2 gigs, and there's quite a few of them. And if one file changes in it, you have to rebuild the whole pack file. And the way our build system works on all the data is we have to rebuild all the data into the pack files right now, which essentially means we spend about 3 hours if we do a full build. It's about an hour if we just do a code build. But that's a huge amount, so it's problematic in terms of getting that done and then testing it if there's an issue, then you have to go back. So we want a solution that's much more flexible and more iterative, and we also want one that means that we're not saturating everyone's bandwidth, because it's not just on your guys' side, but it's also on our side. Every byte we push costs us money because it's coming off the Amazon CDN that we're using. So we have a plan that I think is a much cooler, smarter one that's sort of all built all around sort of incremental builds of both data and code as soon as it's submitted into the code base, and all the sort of individual files are tagged and held in a sort of huge object store, and then the patcher will know what to pull down and what change. So even if you change a couple of files, no longer will we be pulling down a whole new 2 gig object pack or something like that. We'll just be pulling down the specific files. Will also allow us to sort of version back and forth between them. So it's a really, really cool plan. It's going to be done by a combination of our DevOps team in Austin, in the folks in the Frankfurt office, and Turbulent are all sort of putting this together and building it, and it's going to be super cool. Not going to be deployed tomorrow. I just signed off on the whole sort of design. We've laid a lot of the groundwork, but it'll obviously take some time in testing. But when it comes online, I think it's going to make a massive difference for our ability to turn around builds for you guys quickly, and also to reduce the amount of data that we saturate, both our CDN and you guys on your bandwidth limit. So I'm pretty excited by that because I think it will just allow us to be more flexible and more nimble, which is good, and save them some money. So next question comes from Narco Man, who asks, aside from shopkeepers, quest givers, and other NPCs considered essential in other games, are NPCs in a given area going to be generated randomly based on the current environment and the parameters set in the area? So what's going to happen is we have a universe simulation that runs on a separate server, and that's much more a sort of big picture simulation. Think of it like, I don't know, a civilization game or something like that, sort of a slower turn-based game. And that actually is simulating the universe, what all the NPCs are doing sort of on a macro basis. Who's trading with what's producing what goods are needed where pirates are attacking, and sort of the general outcomes of those results are all happening on the universe simulation in its own process. And then that's getting trickled down to the local game servers that all the players, i.e. you guys, are attaching to and playing in, and the snapshot of what's happening on the universe server is then sort of carried across the game server. So what would happen is, for instance, if you were down on a planet, it would say, okay, well, this planet, it's a mining planet, and so I will generate, and the population is this size. Therefore, we'll probably populate the landing area with X number of NPCs. Of the X number of NPCs, 60% of them will be miners, and then we'll have some law enforcement, and we'll have some service workers like in the bars and stuff like that. And it would all be sort of generated by the data that's pulled down or pushed down from the universe server, and so it will dynamically change. So if a place becomes goes hard, turns on hard luck times or whatever, and there starts to be unemployment, or people start moving off-world to go somewhere else to seek jobs, and the population is lowered, then you'll see less people in the landing area. Perhaps the mine shuts down, so then you won't really see miners anymore. Maybe the criminal element will increase because there's nothing to be done in that area where you can be gainfully employed, so people are turning to crime. So what's going to happen is there's going to be sort of a loose, fuzzy connection to what's happening on the universe simulation with what you actually see when you're moving around personally in the game. And so it will change with what happens in the universe. And of course, what happens in the universe is influenced by what players also do in the game as well. So the AI sort of like meta actions are all handled on the server, and then the sort of player actions are sort of simulated in those local game server instances that, like for instance, you guys connect to Crusader right now, and results from that will be pushed back up to the universe server, and then that will sort of affect things like pirate counts and stuff like that. So if there's pirates preying on a cargo run between two planets, so say they're AI pirates, and then the company that's not getting the goods because the pirates keep on attacking its shipments hires some bounty hunters, i.e. you, the players, to go after the pirates in that area or take them out, and you do, and you go and kill the pirates that are there, the 20 pirates or whatever, then that gets pushed back up to the universe simulator, and the universe simulator says, okay, let me kill the 20 pirates, and if that kills all the pirates on the universe simulator, when you go back and fly that area back on the local game server instance, no longer will pirates be a potential spawning encounter because there's no pirates in that area anymore, whereas before there were. So that's kind of how the connection happens between the game and the universe simulation, and I think that it should be pretty cool and be pretty dynamic. So you will definitely feel impact from overall sort of macro movements and player influence, and you should sort of feel places change with time depending on what's happening in the universe, so it should be cool. Next question comes from Krell, who asks, within the context of fantasy spaceflight, in brackets, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, etc., and given how you're implementing the flight model in Star Citizen, how do you see the importance of positioning relative to an opponent playing out? Should there be an advantage to getting on your target 6 and staying there, or is that pretty much negated by 6 degrees of freedom flight? I will say that in all circumstances, even with sort of 6 degrees of freedom and the ability to, do lateral and horizontal and, vertical sort of strafing, as well as being able to sort of, change your orientation and maybe not your velocity vector, which is sort of the decoupled stuff. Always getting on, getting behind someone or in their blind side is always a bit of an advantage. Now the difference in our system and flight model, if you're a good pilot, you'll be able to get out of that situation. You'll have more options than you do in regular atmospheric air combat maneuvering. But obviously, yeah, you want to get behind someone because they can't bring their gun. Most guns are forward-facing. Also, visibility is usually forward-facing. So outside of the bigger ships with turrets, then getting behind people or someone in a dogfight is usually will give you an edge or an advantage, even if they can recover from it quicker than they can in traditional current day atmospheric air combat. Next question comes from Jay Stalker, who asks, we already have a flyable Constellation and a flyable P-52 Merlin. How far are we from a workable tech for docking and undocking? Is this something we can expect in the near future, or is this a functionality planned further down the line? I really want to actually get the P-52 and the Constellation to work together, because they're meant to work together. It's probably something we will start to work on with Craig Gransell, who's done the sort of landing system. He's still got some landing system stuff that he's wrapping up for Squadron 42 and some enhancements for Star Citizen, and this will probably be the next task to get this working. It's not that difficult. I mean, basically you just kind of want to it's just like the landing system really. You'd get in a certain area and then you would say, okay, dock, and then we would just sort of bring you in and connect you. Then the Merlin would be attached to the Constellation, and then hopefully you can get out and you should just be able to enter into the back of the Constellation. So I do want to get them in because it's actually not that difficult technically to get working. It's really just people have had a whole bunch of other things they're working on first. For instance, we haven't shown it yet, but we have an Idris flying around, and you can land inside it and take off inside it and walk around it, and it's pretty cool. So that was sort of the higher priority, and we still got some stuff to do on the bigger ships in terms of building it out. Like we have this object container system, which we detailed in our February monthly report that just came out, and that's kind of how all the future sort of big stuff like the big spaceships or the space stations and even the landing areas will all be taken care of. It's essentially sort of like containers of geometry and objects and stuff that can be nested inside each other and sort of stream in and out depending on the situation. And that's how we'll bring in the interiors of the bigger ships and stuff like that. So we've been doing that, but obviously trying to have a dockable Merlin with a Constellation is on our list. So the next question comes from either Mediocrates or Mediocrities, however you want to call it that way. Will there be a realistic audio option, e.g. no sound in a vacuum, so you just hear stuff hitting your ship as the muffled sound travels through the structure, and lasers / photons are soundless? So short term, absolutely no, not, because we've sort of gone for the sort of Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica route where we have sound, because generally that's kind of cool, even though it's maybe not necessarily quite as realistic. Longer term, I could see the sound department doing, getting to the end of all the features we want them to implement and do sort of a realistic sound simulation option, which I wouldn't be against. I just would prefer to finish up a bunch of other stuff like the music system. We've now got a new 2.0 music system. The sort of positional voiceover IP that we want to do. So we can, when you're in a group on a ship, I can talk and you'll hear me, and I'll be, if I'm in front of you, you'll hear my voice coming from in front. If I'm behind you, you'll hear me coming from behind. My voice will be filtered if I'm speaking through a helmet, et cetera, all those things. So all that's sort of ahead of the queue than doing sort of a realistic space sound option, but I wouldn't rule it out longer term because we have a pretty talented audio department and they've been doing some pretty awesome stuff both on the sound creation but also on the simulation programming side. Okay, next question comes from Nimbril, who asks, what is your intent in regards to personally owned NPC fleets? Is it that your intent to add as many controllable NPCs as possible per person if the technology allows? We definitely are going to allow you to hire some NPCs to help you, say, crew a bigger ship, or perhaps like fly as an escort for you when you're running a mission, or perhaps fly a transport for you, but we're probably going to cap that to a certain number. We haven't decided it yet, so we haven't really gotten into that. We've still got obviously a lot of performance things to figure out, like how many NPCs we can have running in the same sort of area or instance, as well as how many players can run in the same area or instance. So we wouldn't want to have sort of an infinite amount for people to do. And at a certain level, you probably don't want to have that because it could become incredibly unbalanced. So I don't have a great answer for that right now, but I would say it's not going to be as many as theoretically you could allow. There will be some level of cap on it, but it'll be what would make sense for you to have some help in the cases you need. And perhaps different things would have different amounts. So if you have an Idris, then you and some friends need to fly it, but you also need a bit of a crew, and you could maybe have a few more NPCs in that situation than you would if you were hiring individual NPCs to fly escorts. So you couldn't hire like 10 NPCs flying 10 Hornets for you, for instance. But we haven't come up with the actual numbers because obviously it needs balancing for both gameplay reasons and performance reasons. There you go. Okay, next question comes from Captain Awesome, who asks, so the Endeavour has biodomes. What will be the point of farming, and will there be bacon farming? Well, the point of farming will be, the biodomes will allow you to grow agriculture, crops, and you'll be able to sell those probably for a premium. So the idea would be the biodomes in the Endeavour are sort of growing things that you couldn't normally necessarily grow on a planet, and you can maybe sell for a premium, whatever it would be. I'm sure lots of people go space weed, but there'll be plenty of other things too. So it's a sort of farming mechanic. So you would have that in space. You'd maintain it like perhaps you'd have to take your ship would have to be a certain distance from the local system star, or you'd have to fend for it, make sure it's grown, and like perhaps a sort of lower gravity setup makes you able to grow a better strain of whatever it will be, wheat, etc. So there you go. I don't know about bacon farming. Bacon farming, I'm guessing, is sort of like, okay, we're going to have pigs or cows or something like that. I would think at some point we may do livestock, but I would definitely say in the first iteration or two we probably won't do it, just because of the issues of, okay, well, I'm now got a biodome full of 20 cows or something. But longer term we may, but short term it'll probably be much more sort of vegetation or plant-based that you would have to farm, so a little farmville, so to speak. Next question comes from Curry Fayas, who asks, I would like to know more about the procedural tech. You've talked about consulting linguists for alien languages. Are you talking to exobiologists, exoplanetologists, and exoclimatologists for direction and help in designing the ecosystems and climates of alien planets? That's a good question. We have done a certain amount of working with the local school here in LA, actually. So at UCLA, we've been dealing with some sort of astrophysicists and their ilk in terms of laying out our star systems and what kind of planets would be what distance from the stars, and that sort of dictates the type of planet. I mean, to a certain extent, what we do is we say, well, we want this kind of planet, and then we talk to the folks that really know and say, so what situation could we potentially get this planet in? And then say, well, then maybe it needs to be this distance, this many AU from the star, and da-da-da. And so that's sort of how we, on a macro side, been doing the star system map. And some of that will filter into the procedural tech. But it's still early days on the, kind of figuring out the ecosystem of the planets and the weather patterns and all the rest of the stuff. So, I mean, I would guess that we would tend to go a little bit more towards a designed approach where, like, it's like, if you take a look at Hoth, it's it's an ice planet and it's cool, but it, is the whole planet covered in snow, or is it, I mean, it certainly looks like when you watch the movie. Would that be realistic? Would there ever be life on a planet like that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But you sort of very much define the planets like you had. I mean, using my Star Wars reference here, but Hoth is the ice planet, and Tatooine is like the desert planet, and so you go to the Dagobah system, and that's all like this swampy jungle thing, and very much in Star Wars they sort of focus the planets to sort of feel like it's a type, it's a jungle, or it's a ice planet, or it's a desert planet. So we'll probably do a little bit of that, maybe not quite as much of that, but we'll definitely do some of that because I think it really helps in terms of sort of identifying the planets and stuff. And so there'll be a combination of a little bit of science and then also what we think fictionally or lore-wise or sort of kind of gameplay-wise would help. So there you go. A little bit of it, but not a massive amount. Okay, next question comes from Kayran, who asks, now that Vulkan is officially released, has the Frankfurt team had a chance to dive in to see about supporting this API alongside DirectX 12? We have looked at Vulkan. We're pretty excited by it. So we are considering our options between Vulkan and DirectX 12. We haven't made a full decision yet, but But Vulkan has some advantages, and the biggest one being, as long as it works properly, it can work on a PC, but also can work on Linux and work on other platforms. Whereas DirectX 12 is specifically just for Windows. They're both very similar architectures. I mean, essentially, Vulkan's not that different than what Mantle was originally set up to be. So, we're considering it. You never know whether we will do DirectX 12 or Vulkan first. Stay posted for that one. All right, last question comes from Augustus Cron, who asks, what hobbies outside of Star Citizen are you struggling to keep up with over the past couple of years? Yeah, there isn't much life outside of Star Citizen, unfortunately. It's tough. So I would say, the few things I get to do, I like playing tennis. That's the sport that I played when I was young, and I still do it. It's good for exercise. I don't actually play football or soccer to everyone in America anymore. I used to. But that was unfortunately about 30, 40 pounds ago, and there may be a correlation between not playing football and getting older. But I still watch it a lot. So I'm from Manchester. I've always supported Manchester United. So I watch Premiership games over here in America, and when I'm in the UK, I watch them there, or actually go to some live games. Play some games, or try to play some games when I've got a little bit of spare time. That's really hard. See some movies, obviously. Big movie fan, and that's pretty much it. I don't really have much time to do many other things than that. But maybe once Star Citizen's done, then I'll take a lot of time off and get back into some of my hobbies. I mean, like for instance, I think I've shown some of my little miniature Napoleonics figures when I used to war game, and I haven't ever since I started doing that. Wing Commander onwards, I haven't really had a chance to do things like gaming the same way I used to do a long time ago, because it all takes time. I actually used to think when I went to school that I can't wait till I'm not going to school and I'll have all this time to do these other things. But I look back on it and I realized when I was actually going to school, I had lots of time for hobbies, and now I don't really have that much time. But c'est la vie. So there you go. That's the end of my answers for 10 for the Chairman. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully some of the answers were informative or useful for you guys. So thank you to all the subscribers that enable us to put together content like this and all the other stuff that we do here at for Star Citizen at Roberts Space Industries. And thank you to all the backers, because without all you guys contributing and supporting the project, we wouldn't be where we are now. It's pretty monumental, but it's enabling us to build something that I don't think anyone would have ever conceived you could build, and certainly no publisher would have ever dreamed of doing. We aren't there yet, but we're getting there. I think you can sort of see the progress. There's more and more features and gameplay coming along the line on Star Citizen Alpha, 2.x live as we go, and this year there'll be a lot of stuff that comes online that I think will really sort of add to the experience. But even right now, sort of in 2.1 and now 2.2, it's a lot of cool emergent gameplay that's happening, and there'll be more of that happening. And I think we're building something that long term is going to be, well, it's the game I want to play, and I think it's the game hopefully a lot of you guys want to play. So anyway, till next time, talk to you later. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching 10 for the Chairman. If you guys would like to see more episodes, go here. If you guys would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel and always keep up to date with all our video content, go here. And if you guys would like to watch episodes of Around the Verse, go here please. And I will see you in the verse.